right. Well, today I have my friend Petrik from the channel Petrik Leo on with me. His channel will be linked in the description. You cover a lot of the same books I do. We kind of have really similar reading tastes, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also get through your books pretty quickly after they're published a lot of times. So I was like, Petrik, he can talk to me about Boneshire War. So we both just finished this just a little bit ago, eh?
Yeah.
What did
Last
you
week.
think of it, Petrik? Yeah, last week. What did you
Yeah.
think of it?
I think overall, I think it's pretty good. Although, if I have to choose between favorites, I think my favorite is still the first book.
Mine too.
Oh, really?
Really unpopular. I think most people love book two like way more than book one,
Oh, I
or at
actually
least
did.
everybody in my circle.
Mm-hmm. I just felt like the first book is the most well polished with the story structure and all that, and I also love the mystery thing that's going on in the first book. Yeah, that mystery thing. I mean, it 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 still exists in some other form in the third book, but I prefer the one on the first book. That's my opinion anyway.
No, I agree with you, and I think that the reveals, like there's reveals and everything, but I think the reveals in book one hit so much harder than
Mm,
any other. Plus, this series, and we'll dive into spoilers in just a minute. But this series relies a lot on angst.
yeah, yeah.
And book one was void of that, or at least nearly. And so I'll always like it better because of that.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree. I even mentioned in my review for the Bone Shot Emperor, I think the angst, and also in the third book actually, yeah, the angst did kind of went a bit too long.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll dig into it. Actually, we can jump off of that as our starter. So just a warning to everybody watching: this is a spoiler chat specifically for Bone Shard War, and we'll also kind of give our final thoughts on the series as a whole. So spoiler warning now. But yeah, the angst.
Yeah.
It's like I think my biggest issue with it is I'm already not really a romance reader, and
Mm,
there's a decent amount of pairing up within
mm,
this series. But each couple is like, will they, won't they? In book three, we do have one couple that is established and married and adopted a
mm,
child, and like we're good. But there's so much will they, won't they, and miscommunication. And
mm.
I'm trying to talk to you, but we get interrupted at the very last moment again and again and again and again. And it's like, it's a little bit, I don't know. I just feel like it could have been handled a little bit more cleanly, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And also, I don't know if you feel the same about this, but because you read One Piece right now, you have
Yeah.
read One Piece, and uh, I kind of wish, because this series is traveling from one island to another all the time.
Uh-huh.
I kind of wish they spend more time on each island.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, you're right. I mean, everything could be One Piece and we'd be happy, hey?
yeah.
Yes. No, I do agree with that. It does feel like, especially in book one, I feel like I saw everything more clearly.
Mm,
And in the later books, it's a lot less focused on bringing that environment, or at least in the last book, it's a lot less focused on bringing that environment to the reader and just kind of like, you know where you are. It's fine.
yeah.
Did you
Totally
feel
true.
that too?
Yeah. I also did not like the time skip. I don't think it was too necessary, in my opinion. Although overall, I know that it is all done in order to show just how much Jovis has suffered throughout the time skip. But in the beginning, it was kind of hard for me to feel like, was this necessary? Something like that with the time skip.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think it really bothered me too much
Mm-hmm.
because I do think that we had to make progress somehow.
Mm,
And the pacing is relatively slow throughout this trilogy,
yeah.
so it wouldn't work to just progress the timeline without a time skip. So it didn't bother me too much. But you mentioned Jovis, so let's talk about him and his perspective and Mephi, because
Yeah.
that's the star of the series, right?
Yeah. I agree with that. Oh, Mephi's name is similar to yours.
Well, so I'm dyslexic, so my brain automatically adds letters sometimes or takes away letters. So for the
Oh,
longest time, I thought his name was Murphy, and I was reading it as
oh.
my name.
Oh, that is so cool, though.
Yeah. But yes, Mephi was amazing in this book, and I loved his struggle with Javis a lot because obviously loves Java so much, but there was a lot of, listen, you are not the hero. Don't leave me behind. Don't try to be the hero. And I feel
Yeah.
like there was a lot of depth added to him in this book to see him struggle so much with Javas's decisions and wanting Javas to make more selfish choices for their sake, you know?
And especially because in the I think in the previous two books, Mephi always said to Jovis, he is the one who helps, right? So I
Yeah,
think it's kind of very impactful that in this book he decided that do not leave me alone. I think that's more important to him, and I think that's really
yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I liked that because I think that this book, probably the best thing about it for me is the character arcs, the
Yeah.
individual character development that we got. And I didn't expect to get that with Mephi too, but we really
Mm.
did, I think.
Yeah, agree with that. And also, I did not expect I would feel that emotional with the ending, even though I do have some issues with the pacing here. Like you
Mm,
said, it can be a bit too slow sometimes, and
mhm,
in the middle, it's kind of repetitive with the story structure,
mhm,
in my opinion. But the
mhm.
ending definitely, for me, nailed it. It was
Same,
emotional. Yeah.
same, same, same. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really surprised that none of our main POVs died, but I do like that there still was a consequence. There was something taken away that affected
Mm,
them greatly. And with Javis and his memory, which, I mean, as soon as he was mortally injured, I was like, well, I mean, we just established that healing pool. So obviously this is where we go, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I saw what direction we were going with it all, but it was nice that it wasn't immediately resolved, and we really felt the pain of it and the impact of it before we got the hope that yes, we've run out of pages, but they haven't, and there's still potentially a chance for them, which I thought was a
Mm,
really good way to do that.
yeah. At first, I thought, was this memory being taken will be important or something? I mean, in the end, life is still more important than your memory being taken. That's my perspective
Ah,
at
I
first.
love that. That's such a good
Yeah,
quote. Ah, look at
yeah.
you. Yeah,
That's
you're
my
right though.
perspective. But
Yeah.
after reading through it, I finally see that it can be a bit painful for those who love their lost their memories. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I think it definitely would affect Jovis because obviously the lessons that he learned, the life
Hmm.
that he left behind, the mistakes he's made, all these things have really shaped him and shaped his worldview a lot.
Yeah.
So to have the things that shaped what made you who you are ripped from you is
Hmm.
definitely a tragedy.
Yeah.
And then on Lynn's side of things, you know, she thought she lost Jovis and then she got him back, or Jovis, and then she got him back, and then she lost him again, but he
Yeah.
was still present. So like, yeah, there's that tragedy there. There is a piece of me though, Petrik, that's like
Huh?
bitter and you know, not cute. That is like, yeah, but you
Hmm.
just met him. Like
Yeah.
you met, you fell in love, you were gone, you angsted, and now like you'll be fine.
That's fair. I think that's fair. And I think Lynn did mention that a few times, right? Like, I just met him. I just met him. Why am I like this? Something like that.
Right. Which, to
Yeah.
be fair, I had insta love with my husband, so it's like I
Oh my
can't
God,
really blame
Murphy.
him.
You cannot fault Insta love like that.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm kind of a brat because I'm like, ew, romance. But like, if you
Yeah.
wrote my story, it would be pretty cheesy.
Oh my God, that is awesome. Who's your
um, so,
favorite character anyway in the series?
um, so I don't remember how to say her name. Is it like Ramani, maybe?
Oh, Ranami, yeah.
Yeah, Ranami. That's it. So both Ranami and Falyu. How do you
Oh
say her
yeah.
name?
I said it Falue, but I don't know whether that's
By the
correct
way.
or not.
Okay. Both of them are, at least in my circle, well-hated characters. And I
Oh.
love them both
Oh.
because of how flawed they are. And like in book one, they were both very naive, they were both very
Mhm.
selfish, they both saw the
Mm,
worldview only from their own perspective and very
yeah.
critical, and they both had to overcome that and grow from it. And I feel like I saw the most character growth from both of them from book one, especially Value in book three. Their character arcs and how they Value really had to overcome her own prejudices in this one with Lynn,
Yeah.
and how it's like we have something that we both want to overcome the life that our father set before us, and we both want to make our own way in the world. Yet I still can't get past this thing
Mm.
about Lynn that world, like the whole world kind of has a prejudice about, and her overcoming that and learning to trust Lynn and learning to see Lynn as a person instead of as this thing.
Yeah.
Um, and it value changing her worldview and starting to see the world in a wider way and helping Lynn to see that too, but also value being very judgmental towards Lynn and being like, "Ah, of course you didn't think about the orphans," when she wasn't thinking about the orphans in book one, you know? Like she's
Yeah.
really flawed. And I love that about her, but I also
Uh,
see a lot of growth in her. And also they adopted, and I'm an adoptive mom. So I'm like, what can I
yeah.
do?
Yeah.
What
Very
about you?
understandable.
That was a
Uh,
long monologue. What about you? Who do you like?
I will. I think my favorite, out of all of them, I mean, will have to be Matthew, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But at first, let's say for the previous two books, I did like Lynn the most. I did like Lynn the
Yeah.
most. But after I got to the third book, I have to agree that I think Falue is my favorite of them all. Out of all,
Really?
out of all the main characters.
Club will be the only members.
As you said, I think I just like the characterizations and development that Falue underwent. I did not feel like they developed a lot in the previous two books, but in this one, Ranami also developed a lot in this book. I mean, I did not like her in the second book. I did not like her
Very
treatment
flawed.
of Falue. I just felt like she is quite selfish sometimes, in my
Oh yeah.
opinion.
Big
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Big time.
But I think in this one, they really develop and grew more understanding. I also like this passage. I forgot the actual quote, but Ranami mentioned something like how easy it is to feel like you grow used to the privileged lifestyle. I mean, she used to be poor, right? She used to be poor, and then she got to the rich lifestyle very easily, and I really like that. It puts. I think she just realized that maybe she is a bit selfish in the previous two books.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I liked that moment too. That was a good self-reflection. I think they all had good self-reflection. And since
Yeah.
we've talked about everybody else, we'll also mention Lynn, who I too, she was my favorite for a
Hmm.
while there because her conflict with her father and with
Yeah.
she realized that she was a construct as well, and like
Yeah.
all these things about her that really added a lot of complexity to her personal struggles. But I do think that her growth kind of ended in this
The
book.
pl- yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah,
Yeah, it plateaued a little bit. Like she was still trying, and I still saw a lot of effort from her and a lot of hopelessness of like, I want what's best for the emperor for the empire, but I don't know what the best is, which I
yeah.
appreciated. But as far as her personal journey, it just didn't really feel like there was that much in this book.
I think it's because also the first book really worked well as a standalone novel,
Mm,
and it's kind of like Lynn's character development kind of peak at the end of that book, and the rest
yeah.
of the trilogy is just her angst with Jovis.
Yeah, angst with Jovis and trying to figure out how to be a good leader,
Yeah,
where it
yeah,
seems like everybody is kind of against her being the leader, which is good. I like that struggle, but yeah, the angst. It's
yeah,
just I just don't like the way the angst is written. Like it's so forced to me.
yeah. And I just like you, I'm also not a romance reader in the first
Yeah,
place, so that's probably goes against me.
yeah, same. We're a bunch of crotchety old.
No, it's just romance in fantasy is so hard to feel like it's done right. I think that's really the issue with romance in fantasy in general.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's a really good point because fantasy writers, obviously, their focus is on fantasy. So a lot of
Mm,
times, romance that's inserted into fantasy can feel kind of just generic and like it's leaning on a lot of conventions instead of being its own well written plot line. And on top of that, it's kind of hard to have a romance that's just sprinkled in and not one that kind of takes over the
yeah,
story, which a lot of fantasy readers, they don't want the romance to take over the story.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm included.
Me too.
Yeah.
So while we're complaining, let's complain about the villain because I just didn't really like Reagan very much.
Yeah, I think this is again same to the point that I just mentioned. Because the first book already worked well as a standalone, and the villains felt kind of forced. It would really work better if this. I forgot the name. Who's the other villain that
Sand,
survived?
or the one that Sand had a romance with.
Yeah, yeah. What's his name?
Yeah, I've forgotten
Oh
his
my
name.
god! Hold on. I forgot the name. And there is this character. Damn it! Oh no. San Nisong. Nisong has a romance with Ragan.
Oh,
Yeah.
why was I thinking that it was the other guy?
The other guy is the one that befriended Ranami in the first book, and
Right.
then as it turns out, he's like the last surviving Alanga. I think.
Yeah, I think his
Yeah,
name
that
was
guy.
Steve.
Yeah, in my opinion, that guy would have been better as the main villain, but he survived.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. He was a little bit more interesting.
yeah.
But I think the Reagan situation, the reason it didn't work for me was a lot of repetitiveness, as you already mentioned. You
Hmm.
know, him just kind of showing up to fight and then leave and then show up to fight and then
Exactly. I did say, hey, you popped up everywhere.
oh man, this guy has time travel or not time travel, location travel. Like, yeah, he could just be anywhere he needs to be to fight someone for a second and then pop out
When he needs
again. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that was a little bit rough, and the fights felt really, really repetitive and kind of just very shallow. You know, like it didn't feel like we were really doing anything with them a lot of the time. So that didn't really work for me either.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I did like the character's arc, but the villain, yeah, it could have been better, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And the other villain that I forgot the name is he's like kind of doing nothing in the last 150 pages.
Yeah, he sort of served as, if I'm remembering, if we're on the same page here about who we're talking about,
Yeah,
he was the one who kind of instigated the wild goose chase for the swords, right?
yeah.
So I think his name started with a D. But yeah,
Is
it
it
was
Diego?
interesting.
Diego?
No,
Oh,
I
no,
don't
yeah.
think so. I think there's a J in there. I don't remember though. But he was interesting in the beginning because of the intrigue that he brought about the swords and because of the rooftop chase that we got to get because
Yeah.
of him, you know, trying to get a hold of hers and all that was great. But then the sword plot line kind of just felt like it was spinning its wheels. Like it felt like we really weren't getting anywhere. And I think it's because Andrea Stewart's focus in this first half of the book was really more on the characters and
Hmm.
exploring their personal failings and trying to get them past those hurdles, which I think she did really well, especially with the Lynn and Value plot line
Yeah.
and their dynamics. I think she handled that so well. But it did make it feel like, wow, I've read a lot of pages, but has anything happened as far
Hmm.
as progressing the story?
Yeah. Yeah. Agree. It sounds like we're being super critical here, but I actually like the book.
Me too. I was really positive on it, and it's easy to like talk about all the things that didn't work out.
Yeah. I remember writing the review for this one, and it's kind of hard to talk the things that I like.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think because for me, the things that I liked the most were the characters' individual hurdles that they overcame, individual arcs, as well as I thought that the ending, everything coming
Mm,
together with the magic and showing, oh, the memory pool is this thing that her dad
yeah.
was using, and that's how the memories tie into everything. And like it really felt like things came together, and I could tell that Andrea Stewart thought through the different
Mm,
elements of magic and what they all mean and how they all work together. And I really felt the impact of Javis's memory loss as well, and the impact of Mephi's struggles and all that. So a lot of what worked for me were the characters and the ending, but the plot leading up to the ending and the villain, I think, were the two things that I was pretty down on.
yeah. I think we pretty much think the same about this book.
Really.
Yeah.
I
What do you think about the magic system?
thought it was really interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
I think she did it really well. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I really like the commenting and how Jovis got past. I do think that he should have got past that sooner though, because it has been 2 years. I mean, you just thought that after 2 years has passed. But other than that, I think it's pretty clever. I would have loved more exploration on the magic system. I think it would have been nice.
Yeah, I think I are you more of a hard magic system person?
I actually don't have any preference, but
Yeah, because I know
but
a lot of the books you like are pretty soft.
mm, yeah, I think so. But I do like Brandon Sanderson's books a lot, and
Sure.
yeah, that one is pretty hard on the magic system.
Oh
So I
yeah,
think
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
I mean,
think.
I'm a big Sanderson fan, but I prefer soft magic systems.
Mhm.
So this was good for me because it was just enough that I could see the logic behind it, but at the same time, it was also mystical enough that it still felt magical to me.
Okay, okay, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. I do not have any preference for this one as long that they're done right. So I think it could have been, it will do well. Like for example, Lightbringer by Brandwicks. I don't know. Do you read that?
I've read the first two
Oh,
or
okay,
three.
okay.
I might have read
Yes.
three.
So in Lightbringer, I don't think this is a spoiler, but I'm just
Okay.
going to mention it. So in Lightbringer, for example, that one is very hard on the magic system, especially in the first three
Hmm.
books. But in the fifth book, it just kind of threw that away. It
Oh,
suddenly
really?
turned into a soft magic system, and yeah, I do not like that. I do not
Yeah.
like that.
I've heard
Yeah,
really negative things about the way that series wrapped up.
yeah. But that will be another topic.
Another topic for another day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what do
I
you think
read.
of it? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, 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 it's okay. I just want to say that I read about that series, about the fourth and the fifth book quite a lot.
Yeah. So I was really on the fence about that series after book two, because
Mm,
I had my issues with it. And
mm.
then everybody was hating on the final book right after I
Eh,
finished book two. And I was like, there's other stuff to read.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. But Drowning Empire,
Yeah.
overall thoughts. How did you feel that this book did as a conclusion?
Uh, it's kind of tricky, but overall, I gave this one, in rating wise, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars.
Nice.
Yeah, I really like the characters arc. I did not like the way the execution was done to some of them. Like we talked about earlier, some of them felt too repetitive. I do not think it needs to be that way. I think it could have been handled better. But as far as ending goes, I really liked it. Really
Yeah.
liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that
I
probably, oh, sorry, go ahead.
We haven't talked about how the Olasen, like Trana, Mephib, they
Oh,
become an
yeah.
island. They become an island. I think that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that the way she resolved it in the end that just kind of hit just right for me.
How about you?
Yeah, I think I would probably rate it the same as you. I don't usually rate, but for the
Yeah.
purposes of this, I think a 4 star is probably where I land too. It's a series, and I think after I finished book one, and even after I finished book two, I think I was like, this could be a new favorite series. This could be on my
Oh,
list, right?
uh-huh.
And I don't feel that way now. I think that this is a series that definitely is. It has a lot of flaws. There's a lot of writing stuff that I'm like, that could be stronger. But even with that being true, it's so fun, you know? It's
Mhm.
so readable. I get through these books so fast because I think that the way she ends each chapter on a cliffhanger, and she's
Yeah,
got so much going on at the same time, yet her writing style is very it's simple enough that you just kind of blaze through it.
yeah,
Yeah, it feels like it has a good balance of the complexity as well as the simplicity. I think the characters are written really well. I think the world is really interesting. The magic is really interesting. So there's just a lot that I love about it. So I think that this is a trilogy that's like, yeah, it's not going to work for everybody, but it does work for me.
yeah. I think it's solid. It's really solid. But the first book is really the best one.
So too. I think
Yeah,
so too. I think that
yeah,
would okay. Let's rank them. One is our top.
yeah.
Is two or three going to be our number two?
This is a tough one. I think I have to choose 3 over 2.
Me too. Oh, okay. Okay. So the official rating approved by the author herself is book. I'm just kidding. It's not approved by her. Book one, then book three, and then book two. I think we're gonna have the unpopular opinion with that. With
Yeah,
that
I
rating.
think so. Oh well. But it comes from an honest place. I cannot say other opinion on this one. But the second book, I wish that in the second book, in the Bone Shot Emperor, I really liked the final battle. I think that one is the most epic section of the entire trilogy. I thought this one would be as epic as that, but as it turns out, it's not.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think the second book, even though I read books one and two almost back to back, I
Mm.
think the second book is the one that I remember the least of the three. It's the one that sticks with me the least. And I don't know if it's because it wasn't doing as much as far as kind of the deep character explorations that I love so much, or what it is, but it didn't stick with me like the others have.
I
I
remember Jovis is constantly gaslighting Lynn or something. Like he did a lot of he did a lot of mistakes in the second book, and then he keeps shifting the blame on Lynn. I did not like that.
That's true. He kept withholding information from her, like really important information, and then he was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's a good point." Which,
am I
by the
using
way,
am I using the term correctly here? Is that gaslighting or not?
so the as far as I remember,
Yeah.
the origin of the term comes from a play where a man decided to try to make his wife think that she was going crazy. And the way he would do it is he would remove a little bit of gas from their lamps each day so that the lights would just get slightly dimmer. And she would point out, like, there's something wrong with our lamps. There's something wrong with my vision. Things aren't right. And he's like, everything is exactly the same. What's wrong with you? And he essentially would make these little bitty changes to make her believe that she was insane. So,
Oh wow! Wow, that's the origin.
yeah, I mean, as far as I remember. So I think the term gaslighting has to be because a lot of people, it's one of those words that's now turned into pop culture, so people just use it for whatever.
Yeah.
I think I think the official, if someone's gaslighting, is it's if they're withholding information or like intentionally skewing something to make them feel like it's on them, and
Hmm.
that would be so. Kind of, yeah. He kind
Yeah.
of did
Right.
gaslight her a little bit. I think you used it right.
That's my thought. Yeah, but that's interesting fact though. I did not know about that origin.
Yeah, I love Google.
I should have probably done that. Yeah, but I did not like that. But overall, by the end of the series, I really liked Jovi's character arc as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was solid. I think that I think of the arcs, Jovis is probably my least favorite, just
Hmm.
because in this book, his big revelation was essentially, well, maybe I'm not the hero of the whole wide world.
Yeah.
Maybe we're all heroes in our own ways and we work together. And I'm just like, oh, all right. I mean, yeah. How old are you? You're like 40? Like in your 40s? And you're just now figuring that out? Good job, bro.
When you say it like that, it's really bad. Oh my god.
I know. We liked it. We liked the book.
Yeah, yeah. Seriously, for those of you who are watching this, we really like the book. Okay.
We really like the book. We really like the trilogy. But sometimes it's just fun to be a little bit bratty, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and it's easier. It is easier.
But yeah, I think overall it's a fun series. Flawed series, not perfect, won't suit everybody, but was a lot of fun. And it's a good break. I think we both read a lot of epic fantasy and a lot of kind of more intense things. And this had the intensity kind of in the subtext without
Mm.
being really intense. So it was a fast, fun, good time.
Yeah, yeah. And also, it's kind of my fault as well to keep comparing this to One Piece, even though I shouldn't do that, but I just can't.
You know what's
uh,
funny? I've never made that comparison.
okay, that's just me. I just think that because One Piece is constantly traveling from one island to another, right? And they spend so much time in each island. I just kind of wish something like that happened because right now, the way that I'm thinking of the Drowning Empire, the only island that matters the most is Imperial Island, the one that Lin origins. Something like that. I wish the other islands would feel more important to me, but that did not really happen.
I think that's a really solid
Mm,
criticism, though. I think you're right. I noticed that we were doing a lot of island hopping without it
yeah.
really feeling like any of it was fleshed out, but the way you put that is, I think, perfect. They should have felt more important.
Yeah, yeah. That's really, yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, that was very good. Anyway, final thoughts. Is there anything else you want to say about the book?
I would say just from reading this trilogy, I really enjoyed it, and I think the next series has a really good potential to be even better. Yeah,
Mhm.
than this one. This is her first series after all, and if it's already this well polished, and it's really good. It's really good, despite our constant criticisms. It's really good. Seriously,
Big
yeah.
agree.
I think the next series might be even better. Has a good potential.
Big
How about
agree.
you?
Yeah, I think that there's definite room for her to grow as a storyteller, but at the same time, there's so much strength here just in the debuts. So I'm
Hmm.
excited to see what else she comes out with.
Yeah, yeah, agree. Uh, when I think she already said she will release a book. I forgot when though. 2024 or 2025.
Awesome. Well, we'll be
Yeah,
on it.
yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you for joining me, Petrik. And as I said, Petrik's links will be in the description, so please go check him out. Subscribe. He reads a lot of the same stuff as I do and does a lot of really great reviews. So you should be watching him. And he's also joining me for a vagabond chat soon. So we will
Hopefully,
see
hopefully, hopefully.
we will see you guys again soon. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.